Patrick Walsh with Viewpoints and Points to View. My guest tonight is Mr. Ezeadi Patrick Onukwulu, and we're going to be talking about his life, his philosophy, his successes in the past, what he's doing in the present, and his future possibilities. So tell me, Patrick, I'll call you Patrick, because I'm Patrick too, and we'll have that little thing. So tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you came to be so successful in the music industry.
Well, originally I came to Canada from Berkeley, California, where I was going to school. I came from Nigeria originally. I'm an Igbo man from the Igbo tribe from central part of Nigeria, east central part of Nigeria. And I grew up there. The first 20 years of my life was spent in Africa, in Nigeria. I grew up there, went through childhood in the village, high school in the city, and a little bit of work experience in another city far away from where I came from, and then ended up here in North America. Started school in California, and then came up here. Went to Simon Fraser, graduated from Simon Fraser, and went into the workforce, and did that for a few years, and due to changes and things happening in my life, I decided, I was shown a different direction to deal with life, and that is what has brought me to this place today at the moment.
All right. So tell me, how did you get involved in music?
Well, music has always been a part of my life. I grew up to the sounds of the forest, to the sounds of my father waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and us doing our prayers. My father was one of the original pioneer Christians from my part of the world. And he was one of the few of those pioneers that were trained by the missionaries to become teachers and educators. So my father was a pioneer educator in my country. But at the same time, it did not separate him from being who he was in my village, you know. So I grew up with the sounds of prayers in the morning, and then him going to the sharpening stone with his machete and sharpening his knife to go to the farm to do the morning work before we go to school, and we all go to school, him included. And that sound for me was kind of more or less my first introduction to songwriting, because he would be sharpening his knife and he would be going chick, 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 chick. So I added something to it. When I'm there listening and watching him, he would be doing chick, 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 chick. So I added chick, chick, kana one, chick, chick, kana one. That's how I started. I started making music with him, and from there, I was the last child. So I had a lot of freedom growing up in the village, and I had my incredible imaginary friends. You cannot believe what you can do with people and things you can barely see as a child, or you can't even see, but they're there for you. So I did a lot of, everything was music around me, for me, growing up as a child. And my mother used to give me a gift of every birthday of a harmonica, which increased in size as I grew older. Whether I played it or not, I never got a chance to ask her why. She was giving me those harmonicas because I know she never played them. She doesn't know how to play them, but she guessed them for me because she knew I liked music. I was always dancing under the table when my dad and we have visitors and they're playing the gramophone. You remember that? Do you remember the gramophone?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So that's what I grew up with, and they'll be playing their music, and I'll be under the table dancing. So my mother always gave me gifts of music, and she always let me sing and make whatever noise I wanted to make as a child. So music has always been there for me. It's always been a part of me, my life.
That's a very interesting way to start your music. It's very intimate, very close, and evolved from your family, which is where probably most of the music talent that becomes well known is a very, very close feeling that you have with your family. Mm-hmm. So then from there, you went on and you started studying music more formally, is that correct?
I never had any formal education in music. For me, it's always been natural. From what I just said earlier, I went to being in elementary school and then being asked to be the penny whistle blower in the band or the side drum, the snare drum. So I am either playing the snare drum or I am playing the whistle while we're marching in high school. In elementary school. And from that, went into high school. I went to a Catholic high school, one of those schools where you live in the dormitories and everything, you know. It's like being in the military, you know. So yeah, with all those connotations you've heard about, you know, schools and the issues we have here with the indigenous school system, those kinds of schools we had. There's a lot of those things went on there too, but for us, we never really saw them, or you know, nobody ever really brought it up that there were problems. But for us, in my part of the world, it was an opportunity to get educated. And we seized it enthusiastically. And in high school, I was not much involved in music, but I was in a way, you know, I was in the choir, and we learned to play the organ for mass services in the morning, you know, again, without really studying it, just with ears, you know, you listen and then you know, play around with the keys, and then you find which one it is that you need, and then you put it together. That's the way I've done music up to what you have seen so far, and up to now. I still have not, I can't read music, I can't write it, but I can write lyrics and melodies and harmonies, all stuff in my head, and then translate it to others to play with me.
Yes, it seems like talented people that just play by ear and create it on their own without formal training, they seem very inspired to create from themselves the kind of music that they like. And I noticed when I was hearing you play your music, I felt very close to it. Your spiritual message, if you like, was very, very touching to the heart. And that's what I love very much about your music. And I don't think we see enough of that these days. And how did that evolve in you spiritually? And how did you get to the point where you're creating that type of music?
I had life has been a lot of ups and downs for me that prompted the way I write and where I express my views and opinions in music. I've had a lot of discrimination and racism things. I've faced a lot of that during my life here in Canada. But during that time, you know, I realized that if I go towards anger and you know, if I become angry about it, I will end up really defeating myself. So somehow these messages came through to me to share that experience and try to give hope to people that no matter what the situation is, we can always find a way to appeal to each other's conscience, you know, to to solve problems, relationships, love, living life as a whole. But so many problems that, one of my songs, for example, called May We See Your Hand Today in All We Do. It's a song about just asking the Supreme Being to allow us a chance to see, to manifest His presence in all we do today. Why is it that we have to suffer so much? Why is all this happening? Just give us a hint, okay? And we ask, if you're, in the song, all kinds of questions are asked. But my direction is always just to express the idea and say that we can always find a way to reach out to each other and solve our problems. We can always, and we have to, because we have no other choice but to help each other in life for it to be good and better for everybody the next day. Because we believe that the idea behind this is that we're here. We live here, we have our children here, you have your kids here, and we can't just continue to talk about issues and situations and problems. We have to do something about it, and what we're trying to do is to bring our story and our culture from our own perspective to our neighbors here, so we can learn more, be more aware, be more knowledgeable, be more understanding of each other. That way we can find the connections that bring us together, and hopefully as we move along we develop a new culture that belongs to all of us together here someday. And like I've just touched on something you said earlier, not everyone is religious, but everyone is a spiritual being.
We all have an insight to some degree from where we're going from month to month, week to week, or year to year. So take a moment and just think about it a second. Say, what am I bringing forward this summer spiritually to the community through my music, through my culture, through my prayers, or through however you feel? How is God working in your life to bring forward this summer to the community?
My purpose has always been to be a catalyst, an instigator, to bring ideas that empower and motivate people to do things. And for this summer, in my meditations and my prayers every day, I wish that we would be able to bring joy and the spirit of unity and peace, care and love and understanding amongst our communities through the presentations we're going to be sharing this year, starting with on Sunday, May 21st at the Metro Ballroom in New Westminster. We're having Alpha Yaya Diallo and Bafing. Alpha Yaya Diallo is from Guinea. He's one of Africa's best guitarists and singer-songwriters. He's won 3 Juno Awards in Canada and lots of other international and national awards. He rarely plays in town, but we are really very honored to have him. He'll be featured in our festival in August, and he'll be featured on the 21st of May at the Metro Ballroom in New West as our opening spring artist.
Well, that's a wonderful message and purpose to have for the summer in this day and age, is to bring people together. And I think if we're going to come together, it will be because of music, food, dance, and sharing the beauty that is mankind, that the Creator is creating through us for each other. Ezeadi, I want to thank you so much for coming in today, out of your busy schedule, and getting ready for the summer and everything. And it's so nice to see you again. It's been a while, after so many years.
Yes,
and I really missed your music, and this summer I'm going to really take part in it.
You've been an inspiration, Mr. Walsh. You know, I never forget you on my shows. You're always the constant that I remember, because your expression on your face and the way you dance to the music, the freedom, you are an inspiration for me when I'm there and you're there. I noticed that. I just have to tell you that. I know I haven't said that to you.
Well, I appreciate that very much. When I started doing that years ago, something happened. I never used to go dancing, and something happened. I went to the Sikh parade, and it started there.
Yes, I remember.
With the Vaisakhi parade, then I went to African. And when I go there, the music, I just go into a whole different personality, and all I want to do is dance, and for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care who's around me, I don't care who's watching. Hopefully this summer we'll be able to get some of that recording. You might find it hilarious. But
it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful experience.
Support the arts.
And
support music and dance. Come and dance yourself.
Yes, of course. And people come in, you know, and they just start dancing as one starts.
Yes.
Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining us today, because this program is for you, or this evening, wherever it is, and wherever you may be in the world. Share your music, share your culture, bring love, peace, kindness, and understanding. And that's our message for you today. So this is Patrick Walsh with Viewpoints and Points to View. Until next time.